The Big WECK presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chili. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. On this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise, I'll introduce you to some interesting people from hometown businesses with interesting stories to tell, like Michele Pellette from Charcuterie Luxe, with tasty ideas to perk up your holiday party. Jonathan is back from Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture with alternative ways to get rid of pain. And get a new smile for the new year. Dr. Kaplansky is here to help. All on this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise. Stay with us.
I'm Joe Chili. Don't forget to join all your favorite personalities, JP, Roger Christian, and me, with classic oldies from the 60s and 70s on the Big WECK. Joining us today on Buffalo on the Rise is Michele Pellette from Charcuterie Luxe. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you. I'm looking at all these wonderful things sitting over here. Well, now tell us a little bit about your background with Charcuterie Luxe. This is something you've been doing just for a short period of time?
Since January, since the beginning of the year. I was in California in December, last December. We were on vacation, and I went to this event and I saw this charcuterie cart, and I'd never seen it before. I'm like, what is this? And they said, well, this is charcuterie. We do different events. We do private parties. We do fundraisers. So I came back to Buffalo and I had a cart made. And that's kind of how it started with my charcuterie cart.
Well, now tell, for the benefit of those people that are, uneducated like me, when I first met you, I wasn't sure what charcuterie was. Right. And I feel, but explain, what exactly is charcuterie?
Well, it's meats and cheeses and nuts and olives and just a bunch of good food that you just, put together, and it comes out as a beautiful board or a cup, as you can see. I do these cups, which are so popular now because I think during COVID, people if you went somewhere, they didn't want to share food.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? So the cups and the grazing boxes, I have a grazing box too, are so popular. I do a ton of them. And I also do my cart. So it's...
Well, I can identify with that. As I was growing up, we didn't like to share food in my family either. If you reached for food, we would stab you with our fork. So, that wasn't going to happen. But you know what? What it kind of reminds me of, it's like antipasto, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. When I get an antipasto plate, people would think I was crazy because I would make a meal out of that.
Right.
And not have anything else. They go, what are you doing? You're missing the best stuff. And I go, no, you're missing the best stuff.
Right.
But this is really great. So you do any kind of functions? Can you like large functions, small functions? For
both.
Going to people's homes or going to people's offices?
We do corporations, we do dealerships, did like the child and family services. I also now do classes. I teach charcuterie classes, how to make the grazing boxes and the cups. So I just want to show you my cups here. This one is for the fall, so this is fun. I've been doing a lot of events with this one, and I had this event I did at the library, and I knew there were going to be children there, right? So I got some peeps, some little.
Oh yeah, I remember the peeps. Yeah, marshmallow peeps. Yeah.
Right. So they had, Halloween peeps. So I passed them out to the children. The adults were like this. Excuse me.
Can I have one?
Can we have some peeps? So they were, you would think they were like, it was so funny. So I gave everybody a peep. So then the next show I did, there were like 25 girls. They were drinking wine. And at the end, I brought out the Peeps. I said, I got Peeps. And they're like, oh, we love Peeps. So it's so funny, but people love the Peeps.
So you had peeping Toms, and peeping Teresas.
Yes.
You know, let me ask you this. When you're doing a class, this is going to sound weird. When you're doing a class, how do you keep people from eating the things that are...
I see people go like this. Oh, yeah, they do. And that's okay.
All the time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but this is another thing I found out. They're very competitive. People are like, okay, look at this one. And a lot of them, I'm noticing, is that they look better than mine. Some of these people are so creative. It's amazing.
Well, that's got to make you feel good, though. I mean, really.
I love it. It's so much fun. And people have, you know, it's not brain surgery. We're just out to have a good time, and people get creative.
Well, now, as we're getting closer to the holidays.
Yes.
Tell us, all excited. Tell us about holiday get-togethers, parties, and what are you going to do for that?
So I have 8 classes booked.
Okay.
So some of them are private. People like, you know, like a girls' night out. They'll invite me over. I'll bring everything, and you know, they do the wine with the girls, and then I set up and I teach them how to make a cup, and it's a ball. Plus, I'm also doing corporate team building.
Okay.
Like the corporations will bring me in, you know, because I supply everything. You don't have to think. So I supply everything, and it's a good team building.
What about a woman's stagette?
Oh, absolutely. Like I've done that for with the cart before.
Really?
You know, brought the cart. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But just don't put the stagette before the cart. You know, I guess that would be, you know, this is really very interesting to me, aside from the fact that my mouth is watering as I'm looking at these, but virtually everything in there is edible.
Oh, yeah, yeah, except, of course, the little picks aren't. Yeah.
Well, that's afterwards.
Yeah, there's like, yeah, you can pick your teeth. There's pumpkins, and that's what I like about the holidays. There's all kinds of Christmas and there's Christmas Peeps, I found out. I'm so excited. So I'm going to get a bunch of, because I got a bunch of Christmas shows or events I'm doing too. So, yeah.
All right, so how do people get a hold of you?
They can call 716-400-4698. And we'll, you know, reserve your seat for you. Or I am also doing wine tasting at some liquor stores. I'm doing private parties, like people, fundraisers. I'll do like 50 of these for fundraisers. And then here's where's the Buffalo Bills one? Go Bills. I even have a Buffalo Bills one.
Very nice.
With the helmet.
Very
so
nice.
Yes.
All right. So reserve your Peep now. Thank you very much, Michele. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Charcuterie Luxe by calling 716-400-4698 or search Charcuterie Luxe in Orchard Park on Facebook. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Charcuterie Luxe. And don't forget to join all of us weekdays on the Big WECK. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, mornings on the Big WECK. With us today on Buffalo on the Rise, Jonathan McDonald from BAM Acupuncture. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Joe. How are you?
Good. I have to, I was into your business just about a week ago, and it looked rather busy. Is there a larger influx of patients coming in this time of the year when the weather starts to change?
You know, I've been doing this a long time, like 20, 25 years. I have noticed a seasonal pattern. So we do get an influx this time of year. This time of year is when you tend to see those seasonal type things, like arthritis tends to act up when it gets cold and damp. So we'll get a lot of patients, their chronic pain is kicking up, and you know, they've just had it up to here with it. A lot of like seasonal stuff, like we get a lot of people, long COVID is something that tends to rear its head around this time of year. So we do get a lot of that. But you know, when we've talked before, we talk a lot about like neuropathy, arthritis, long COVID, migraines, a lot of these different conditions. And I was thinking about that, really, like the people that come to us, they kind of have the weird stuff, right? Like if you're someone like maybe you've been to a specialist and you feel like you're talking to the specialist and you don't really quite fit or belong and they don't quite understand you, maybe you're starting to think you're a little crazy. Those are the patients that are kind of at their wits' end that tend to come in and see us, you know? And that's really, I think, because we're able to see all those little nuances about their condition and put them together and really come up with a good solution for them.
You know, I always think about this and the analogy to radio, because with radio engineers and things like this, you'll have a problem. The engineer will come in and the problem doesn't happen when the engineer's there, right? Mm-hmm. So it's infrequent. What do you do when somebody says to you, I have an ache or a pain, and then they get to your office and they don't have it anymore?
Yeah, and that does happen. I mean, a lot of people, their pain's going to fluctuate. Sometimes patients that come to us are trying different treatments that might help for a little while, and then they kind of wear off. That's really why it's important for me, before I tell you, like, I can help you or not, we need to sit down and have a conversation. A lot of what I do is kind of detective work, really. I'm trying to put those puzzle pieces together and really see where you fit, and then coming up with those appropriate strategies. So it doesn't, I mean, you don't necessarily need to be in the worst pain of your life, but we're gonna talk about the last 5, 10. I mean, sometimes I have people that have had problems for 20 years. So it's really just kind of getting that history and putting those puzzle pieces together that's important. Mm-hmm.
I have to ask you a question. Somebody asked me this, and I don't know the answer to it. They use like CBD oil or cream, like an ointment or whatever, on occasion, and right before bed usually. They go to sleep, and it seems that when they use it, they have very vivid dreams, as opposed to times they don't use it. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
I'm not that familiar with that kind of response from CBD oil, no.
Maybe it's got nothing to do with it. You know, it could have been, you know, the fifth that they had before that.
I don't know. It's quite possible.
No, I don't know.
You know, but I mean, I can tell you, like, the things that we do in office, you're really not, there are no side effects. You know, most of the side effects are going to be beneficial. You know, aside from a reduction in pain, people often report they're sleeping better. Just a general feeling of, you know, here's the thing. You know, if you're in chronic pain for a long time, I don't care what anyone says, it's going to affect your emotions, right? A lot of the people that, by the time they get to us, they're feeling rather hopeless, a lot of depression, things like that. So that is a side effect of treatment. I mean, yes, your pain is lessened, but you just feel better, you know, like there's more of that zest for life. You know, you're able to get out and do the things that you've been missing out on. So I don't really notice many side effects that are negative with our treatments. It's always in a good light. You know?
What are some of the odd things that you think you treat? Now, do you treat? Well, no, maybe not that one. But no, I'm just kidding. But you know, I mean, do you? Is there a treatment that you can do for depression to help people feel better?
Oh God, yes.
Really?
Yeah. I get a lot of that too. You know, and you're talking about this time of year. You get that seasonal depression.
Right.
Very common this time of year. So we'll get, but you know, anxiety, depression. A lot of the medicines for that are just garbage. You know. Some of those psychotropic medications they use for depression, what I'll get is patients come into me and they'll say, yeah, you know, I'm not depressed anymore, but I'm flat. You know, there's
there's no highs, so there's no lows.
No.
It kind of just...
Yeah, life is just, and that's no way to live.
And they put on weight sometimes too, right?
There's a lot of side effects that people deal with, that, and that's the reason they seek us out. You know, we don't use medications. The things we do aren't going to have those negative impacts on your body. You know?
And I think the other thing that we talked about before, important to stress to people, is the fact that if they come in for a consultation, they're not paying for the consultation?
No, we do free consultations, again, because I'm not sure I can help you. Because we do tend to take on those tougher cases. You know, we're seeing people who have been on the, you know, a constant roller coaster of different specialists after different specialists. I want to be 100% certain that I can meet you where you want to be. You know, and that's the other thing. I mean, sometimes I'll get patients that have been in pain for 50 years, or you know, their entire lives, maybe a terrible accident when they were children, and now they're, you know, getting older and they're suffering the repercussions of that. I might not be able to get you to 100%. You know, I might not be able to get you on the golf course. So if that's your goal and I can't meet it, you know, I can't take you on as a patient.
And what about, you know, we only have a couple of minutes left, but what about younger people and sports type injuries? You know, and I'm not talking about serious injuries. I'm just talking about, you know, where they just have, you know, bumped and bruised and things like that. You ever treat for that?
Yeah, actually my son plays varsity football. You know, he has injuries and some of his teammates come in for treatments and things like that. I wouldn't say that is our bread and butter. That's not something that we do a lot of. But again, the nature of what I do, people tend to seek us out because they're not happy with the treatments they're getting in from Western medicine, or, you know, going to that PT isn't working for me, or going to see that chiropractor, you know, temporary relief, nothing's lasting. So that's really the thing. If you're somebody, I don't care what age you are, but if you're somebody who is feeling like, you know, nobody really gets you, those are the type of patients that often we can help.
And don't think the fact that I'm just old and I have to put up with it. Don't think about that either. All right, Jonathan, thank you very much. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture by calling 716-632-2207 or go to bamacupuncture.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture. And don't forget to join all your favorite personalities, JP, Roger, Christian, and me, with classic oldies from the 50s and 60s on the Big WECK. I'm Joe Chile. You can listen to me mornings on the Big WECK. Joining us today on the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise is Dr. Kaplansky. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Joe?
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. You know, one of the things that I noticed when I was prepping and doing some of the research for the show itself is the fact that there are a lot of national firms. There are a lot of firms that come in now and they're advertising in it. And you know, I always wonder, I like to have local people that I can call on. If I have a dentist, I want to go to the same dentist all the time. I don't want to go to, you know, the dentist of the day, right, if you will. So what sets you apart from like the national firms?
Well, absolutely. So there's a big move in dentistry now is to consolidate, and basically dentists are selling their practices to larger companies. They're called DSOs. And most of the offices that you see out there, even though they might say Dr. So-and-so, they actually are part of a huge conglomerate, and it's a big corporate organization where profit is the most important thing. So we are a privately owned, very personable and local dental office. You always see the same people when you come, and we take good care of patients.
What do you think, you know, we know that you're in Gasport, and to some people Gasport may seem like it's a way off or whatever, but you have people from all over Western New York and Southern Ontario coming to you, right?
Absolutely. So Gasport, obviously not the center of the universe, and many people don't even know where it is, but the services that we provide, the process that we invented, and what we do for these patients is so unique that people have absolutely no problem traveling to us from Toronto, from Erie, Pennsylvania, from even Albany.
You say that you can have dental implants in less than a day. Now, is that really true? Less than a day for dental implants?
It does sound sort of magical, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes, the process is really unique, and it uses patients' native bone or native tissue, so we don't rely on grafts. And by doing that and placing implants strategically and kind of joining them together with prosthesis as a brace, we can load these implants right away and give people teeth within 24 hours.
How long did it take you personally to get to the point that you are now, to the teeth now process?
Well, I've been a dentist for 30 years, and I've been in practice in New York for 25 years. And it's pretty much a lifelong journey for me. And every year I just get better, like that wine or cheese.
And there's nothing up your sleeve, right? I want to make sure we're talking about, you know, a magic here and things like that. It is a revolutionary process. Now, it is, you know, you talk about this happening in less than a day. Yes. Traditionally, when we're talking about dental implants, is it something that can take weeks or a month or whatever?
Traditionally, it can take months, sometimes years. So let's say a person doesn't have teeth anymore, and they have deficient bone. They have not enough bone. They would come to a doctor and they would say, well, you're either not a candidate for a procedure or you will require grafting. So grafting takes sometimes months, sometimes years. Patient doesn't have teeth all that time. They just go in toothless and they're undergoing grafting surgeries. Then after grafting, they would attempt to place implants. A lot of times the grafted bone isn't as strong, so the implants cannot be placed. So then you already wasted a whole bunch of time. You wasted a bunch of money. You had no teeth all this time, and now you're stuck with the denture anyways. So a lot of patients experience this kind of a cycle of okay, I'm not getting anywhere with this. I just spend a lot of time and money, and I'm back to where I was with the denture.
Now, when you're talking about dental implants, because I grew up, not that I have dentures, but I grew up in the age of dentures. And There was, you just see people, corn on the cob, pushing it out of the way. Apples, pushing them out of the way. Caramels, pushing them out of the way. Dental implants, can you eat all those things?
You can eat anything. What dentures, you're relying on adhesive. So a lot of people buy denture glue by a bucket literally, and they put it in there, and the denture comes loose while they're chewing. They have to reapply the adhesive a few times throughout the dinner, throughout the meal. Dental implants, the way we do it, pretty much gives you a chewing power when we're done, when the process is all finished. Not only identical to natural teeth, but sometimes even stronger, even better. We measure their bite force, and there's actually an appliance that can measure the bite force. And their bite force is tremendous. They can bite through anything.
I think there were women in my past that really wanted me to fall asleep and then put that adhesive on my mouth so I didn't talk anymore. I don't say that works successfully. Some people are told that they're just not a candidate for dental implants. Well, what's your response to that?
Most of the time we say, yes, you are a candidate. So the way it works again is we place implants into patients' native bone. So most patients that have been told that they're not candidates, the dentist only looks at the area where the teeth would go. We go to the other areas in the face, such as zygomatic areas, which is a cheekbone. There's an area behind the jaw on the upper called pterygoid plate. There's also areas inside the nose that can be used. There's called transnasal implants. So we can do all these things. I'm pretty much the only dentist, the only oral implantologist in this area that is qualified to perform these procedures.
Well, for more information and answers to your questions, contact Dentistry by Dr. Kaplansky by calling 716-772-7500 or go to drkaplansky.com. Promotional and sponsorship consideration provided by the following.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigweck.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chile. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big WECK, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.